Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hardy, and I'm part of the Toshiba Global Commerce Solutions events team. I'm here today with Brad Merritt, who's our Director of North American Channel Sales, and we're going to be speaking with our partner, Aptos. Brad, take it
Thank
away.
you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. All right, everyone, welcome. And our guest today is going to be Gilbert Espinosa from Aptos. Gilbert, good to see you. Longtime friend with IBM and now Toshiba. I won't ask you how many NRFs you've done, we've done, but it's certainly, we've never done an NRF like this before. So I'm in the lobby in Toshiba headquarters, and we're doing a taping with you, and you're back in your home base. So that's great. And what we've learned in the last couple of years is really how to pivot and how to change and adapt. And NRF this year is a great example of adapting as we go. So Gilbert, tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about Aptos.
Yeah, thank you, Brad, and thank you for giving us, giving Aptos, giving me this opportunity to speak about our partnership with Toshiba and what we're seeing in the retail industry. My name is Gilbert Espinosa. I've been with Aptos for many years, and I am responsible. I'm responsible for our global hardware solutions that enable the Aptos software to provide, as an important component in providing our solution to retailers. So Aptos is the largest software provider in the world with a singular focus on retail. 100% of our solutions and offerings are specifically to the retail market. And we have over 1,000 retailers running some component of the Aptos solution. Many of them are global brands that would be recognized by any person that shops would recognize many of our customers, and they're often category leaders within their retail environment. So the Aptos solution is really focused on providing a true omni-channel infrastructure for these retailers. It's not just point of sale. We provide components that assist in the planning, the buying, the price optimization, the management of pricing, sales and promotions within their environment, the selling of the products, and then extending to the last mile of the fulfillment of those engagements with the customers in the retail stores. So we have a real strong presence within specialty retail. Our sweet spot is apparel and footwear, but we do work with other customers that sell consumer goods, vitamins, sporting goods, those types of elements. It's really focused. Our solution is optimized for inventory that has size and color attributes, which is a little bit unique to most retail point of sale solutions.
Well, you mentioned it, specialty retail, and that's probably one of the industries that were impacted the most during the last couple of years. The face-to-face selling really transformed. What's Aptos doing with that, and how are you guys re-engaging with those customers that backed away the last couple of years? Things are starting to happen.
Yeah, it's really been fascinating. It's been interesting because 2 years ago, specialty retail was really shutting down.
Yep.
I mean, we were going through an exercise of which customers are still open, which ones orders were being canceled, projects being delayed or scrapped altogether. I mean, there was a lot of turmoil 2 years ago. But I say it was fascinating because it's been interesting how retailers have come out of this. There was a real fast follow was determining which retailers were essential retailers. And we certainly have customers that were categorized as essential. They were providing goods that were necessary to keep not just retail working, but the world working, right? Yeah. So selling safety products or shoes or apparel that support that. But they've been challenged by other things. There were shutdowns. Stores were forced to close. There were staff reductions as cost-saving measures due to the uncertainty around the pandemic. And then shortly thereafter, inventory became hard to get. Customers were consuming in new ways. They couldn't go into stores, so they had to shop online, pick up curbside, pick up at the store, have the product shipped to the store. A lot of these requirements were things that traditional retailers hadn't yet implemented in their business. There were capabilities that were available from the Aptos solution and from other providers as well. But, in the past, prior to the pandemic, they were nice to haves and they kept being pushed, maybe we'll do that next year.
Right.
The pandemic forced a reprioritization of business requirements to be able to satisfy the client needs. But because of that, it forced a reprioritization of how they were deploying technology into their business.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And it really fits into what we think about the relationship between Aptos and Toshiba. It's been a long relationship. But what if a customer is wanting to talk to Aptos or Toshiba, how would they engage with you and how would you describe that relationship with Toshiba?
Yeah, so the impact of the last couple of years isn't just with the retailers or their customers, it also was with Aptos. We face some of those same challenges, right? Staff reductions, office closures, reprioritization of I guess it may be overly dramatic to say survival mode.
Yeah.
But a real key element of that, the first thing I did was get on the phone with our partners. And Toshiba, of course, is a very important part of our business. We had discussions right away about how do we delay orders? How do we reprioritize orders? What can we do to financially survive, but also to survive in an execution mode? We're still going to need products. We just don't know when. And Toshiba was unrivaled in terms of the flexibility and collaboration that they provided to Aptos to address this. And then in terms of the customers coming back out from this initial impact of COVID, they would either reach out to their Toshiba rep or to Aptos directly. And then we started working on that restacking of pending requirements, whether it was new store openings or, during the pandemic, there was still the end of life of POS Ready 7, which had a significant impact. We found that a lot of retailers, cut IT staff, which meant that they had to rely more heavily on Aptos. Aptos, we had to make some adjustments to the pandemic. We had to rely more heavily on Toshiba to provide us with technical information, technical support, supply chain visibility. And I think, one of the things that makes me smile coming out of the last 2 years is just how well we all work together. Our account team, led by Jeannie Akins from Toshiba and you, Brad, were instrumental in us coming up with a plan to not only navigate through the initial effects of the pandemic, but then also the go forward planning so that we could deliver to the clients and maintain a healthy business during this unprecedented time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one last question, and it's really about, as we kind of talked about impacts of COVID, you talked about how we're trying to emerge. What is the one takeaway we should know about Aptos as we look for 2022? Just a quick high level on that. Just what do we want to know?
I think the most important thing is that's probably become apparent to our clients and to our partners. We've had some of the functionality that this change in the business environment has forced upon retail. I mentioned before, curbside pickup or different ways to transact a sale in the store environment. respect for requirements of distancing or no touch in the store environment. How the Aptos solution has had for many years that functionality. And I think the important thing is that we are now in a position where we are augmenting our long-term customers by adding this to their solution stack. And we can have those conversations with new prospects on what Aptos can do to meet the demands and the requirements of this new business environment.
No, that's really fantastic. I feel very optimistic. I think the word we're using here a lot is the optimism we're seeing around the specialty retail space and how it's transformed and ready for the next set of opportunities for you guys. So,
I think one of the things about specialty retail is it certainly was hit harder, really hard at the beginning of this, change in how we do things. The other thing, though, about specialty retail is they've proven to be pretty nimble and agile and able to adjust. They have, of course, required additional support. We've seen it impact not only project type challenges where project management or resources available for projects at the retailer, at Aptos and at our partners. But I think that this shift has also shown that our customers can rely on Aptos. We can rely on Toshiba to do what we're best at. And what I mean by that is, we rely heavily on Toshiba to manage the supply chain. We rely on Toshiba as an extension of our support in the store environment and supporting that hardware that we've deployed to the stores. And, it's really the thing that makes me optimistic is that cooperation and collaboration that we've seen that we maybe weren't forced to be reliant on in the past. But now I think all of us, the retailers, Aptos and Toshiba, we now realize that we are in this together. And it's reassuring and it's a source of optimism that we have navigated it and that we've come out with a good outlook for the future.
No, I couldn't agree more. And it's always good to see you guys be so resilient and supporting our customers. Thank you very much for extending our reach into segments that we couldn't get to on our own. So that's where you guys really complement us. Any last things before we wrap it up today, Gilbert? Any last things you want to point out before we let you go?
Well, I think the other thing that's really important is that we haven't wallowed in the quagmire of COVID, that Toshiba and Aptos have been working in parallel as we address the current challenges. We are still working on our roadmap, and there's really good alignment between Aptos and Toshiba and, working on the new products that are coming out, sharing roadmap information, finding those points of alignment. And so I think it's really important to note that we're not just treading water, that Toshiba and Aptos are working together for the next generation of retail, tightening up some of these new requirements, finding the hardware from Toshiba that optimizes the Aptos software. I just think that the future's not only are we optimistic, but there's some really transformative capabilities that are coming out from the Aptos and Toshiba partnership.
I couldn't agree more, and we love to have this interaction. And these are just an example of how we communicate on a regular basis. So I appreciate your partnership, Gilbert, and I want you to have a safe, happy weekend, and we'll see you whenever at NRF again. We don't know, but thanks for doing this, and it was a special interview with you guys today. Thank you.